It's just cycling in. Now we're live. It's 8 p.m. It's Monday night. I'm not really this excited. I have a new set of headphones, so yeah, that's kind of exciting. But we're here for the Monday Night Legend Roundtable. Joining me right now is Joe Tardif from Ocala, Florida, and Malpel from Parts Unknown. I don't know where he's at. That's what he used to always say in wrestling, right?
Right, that's right.
And we will be joined shortly by Andrea, and a little bit after that, Mitchell will be coming. So you'll get your fix of everybody you wanted to go. But say hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So in the pre-show, Joe said he had made a number of moves this week. Anything interesting you want to sort of talk about real quick? Get the meat of what we're doing tonight?
Well, some of them we will be talking about, but I did make a semi I'm giving up this year, but I'm still in it kind of move. I traded for Bobby Witt Jr. in a dynasty.
That is interesting. Yeah, he will definitely come up because he's among the rookies that people.
The guy had Bobby Witt and
Franco. That's a big move. What do you have to?
Well, I was trying to get Franco, and he needs pitching badly, so I offered him. I offered him Trevor Rogers or Willie Peralta in a dynasty, which that means a lot, but he needs pitching to win. So
Willie Peralta, not Freddie.
Freddie Peralta. Sorry, Freddie Peralta.
Okay.
And he kind of didn't bite, and I said, "Well, I want Bobby Witt Jr. I can't give you either one of those pitchers." He wanted Robbie Ray. I said no. So we ended up getting Griffin Canning, which gives him an arm, and I gave him Ryan McMahon, which gives him flexibility. So I did give up a little because McMahon is solid because he plays three positions. Canning hasn't been awful. I think it's been middle of the road. But
Canning's also one of the players where I've observed that he does better in the second half of the year. I can't actually back that up because I think the truth is he does better in September. Yeah. It's not the full part of the year, but it's the very end of it.
And I've been trying to build and load up my my minor league roster, and Bobby Witt I've been after for a while, and I finally was able to get him from him. So
I actually picked up this week a prospect, not like intentionally. It was like the backup plan. Fulmer got hurt, and so I made a bid on Amir Garrett, which I didn't get. But because Fulmer's gone, he's almost worthless. I'm like, well, I'll put in a $1 bid on Joe Adell just so I'll have him. And I mean, there's no guarantee he's coming up, right?
No, God no.
But I can't imagine that the Angels are going to go forward with Luis Rengifo in their outfield. Yeah. It can't be too long, no matter what they say. You know what I mean? It's so rather than have an injured relief pitcher on your team, having Joe Adell makes sort of sense for $1 in a $1,000 league, right?
Oh, I would have bet $1. I would have bet $1 in a $100 league. Oh, and I got Andrew Vaughn in the trade, and that looked like a throw-in. But now that Jose Abreu is possibly out, they moved Andrew Vaughn to first base.
That's true. He might be more comfortable there, whatever that means.
Yeah, I mean, it may not work out, but I'll take a young prospect as who's playing. And if it doesn't work out, I drop him. It's no harm, no foul.
Mel, you got anybody you want to talk about?
To throw in.
Yeah. I would say he's in that Andrew Vaughn's in that top tier of prospects. The sparkle's a little off because we've seen him play, and he's not Vlad Guerrero right away. But
no,
yeah, he's definitely a name that people know and has some verve at least.
And with all those injuries, he'll have plenty of time to play at the moment.
How bad is that injury for the guy? I thought he was just day to day.
I haven't heard anything besides the day to day, but the way baseball's gone this year, day to day could be a while.
It was a bruise, right?
Abreu, I saw that he came out today and told. I mean, they're not playing today, but came out about an hour and a half ago that he told La Russa he was ready to play today. Yeah. So whatever that means.
I think it was that big. They're probably going to give him a day off or two just to rest up because people do that nowadays. Mel, you got anybody you picked up this week you're excited about?
Right. Well, in an only league, where I think we're going to talk about him later.
Same.
In an only league is different. I picked up Zach Thompson from the Marlins, and in a dynasty league, I kind of went. I picked up a couple guys off teams that apparently got disgruntled with some proven guys, some guys that we thought would be solid. I picked up Paul DeJong and Hunter Dozier
That's
for
not bad
$1
at all.
apiece because I'm in 9th place. So it's not really. I'm not really rebuilding. It's a huge roster. It's a 50-player roster. I figured, if I can get
50
something
player, I
out
can
of
see
one of them for $1, I don't know how they're available. I don't know why someone would cut them, but people get that way in Dynasty.
I
People
can-
get
I
weird,
I mean, Hunter Dozier is really playing so horribly. I've seen him cut, and I've cut him myself in a few things. I can get it, but you're talking 50 player deep. That's tough because everybody who plays is rostered.
Yeah, basically.
So that's a different story.
Well, in Dynasty leagues, you got people who try to win every year, which is like me, and then you got people who always want like 2 really good prospects, and they're content coming in 15th place. But I got 2 really good prospects.
Yeah, no,
and
there is.
They're all excited about that.
That is my.
I'll come in and scoop up guys like this and take a chance.
Do you have any room on your minor league roster right now, or no?
Yeah, because there's a lot of scrubs, when you're dealing with 50
Is
players.
Is Reed Demeters available?
It's Detmers.
Reed Detmers.
The guy from the Angels. No, he was drafted this year. So like my pitching staff. I'm curious what you think about it. So I have Jackson Rutledge, who's not doing well. I have Michael Allen, who had Tommy John surgery. I have Max Meyer. So those are my 3 kind of guys I'm trying to rebuild my pitching staff around. Are you familiar with any of them? I'm sure you are with Meyer.
Meyer, I'm familiar with Rutledge, who was supposed to be the better of the pitching prospects. Right now, it's not turning out that way.
Welcome to the show, Andrea.
Right.
Thank you. Okay, so can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you fine. We're just doing a little talking about some of our pickups just to kill time until everybody shows up.
Mitchell, Mitchell's going to be late tonight.
Yeah. Well, mostly until you show up.
All right, what are you talking about?
We're just talking about pickups this week. Anybody excited as to what we picked up this week? I was talking about, well, he was talking about Dynasty pickup of Hunter Dozier and Paul DeJong.
No. You didn't pick up Hunter Dozier.
It's a 50-team roster, so it's a 50-man roster.
It's a huge roster, so he's
a huge roster.
Rosterable.
Yeah, if you're in a 12-team league, forget about Dozier. 15, forget about Dozier. If you're in a 50-man team league, he's reasonable because everybody that plays has to be rostered.
So, did everybody go and tell who they picked up and they're excited about?
Not really. We just went through a couple, like one guy each. You got anybody, Andrea?
I think I do, but you guys can go first. I'll take a look. I definitely have one, Zach Thompson.
Zach Thompson was the same one that Malpel said.
Yeah, I picked him up as well. I just didn't know when we were going to talk about him on the list.
He's in the other part.
It's just a bad league though, where I got him because I can't bench him. As soon as you, if you pick somebody up off, if you pick somebody up, add them to your team, you have to play them for at least the first week. Or the first play time, so we go Monday through Thursday, and that's why it sucks because he doesn't pitch till Friday, and we change so right now I'm basically have to roll with this guy on my active roster, even though he's not going to get a start this segment. So that is kind of annoying, but I'm happy about that. And then I picked up Kyle Freeland.
Freeland's pitching okay tonight.
Yeah.
And Zach Davies.
Doing?
Oh.
He had one good outing, okay, Malpal, one. Yeah.
Zach Davies. Oh.
So Kyle Freeland has been horrible.
I don't play Rockies.
What?
Rocky pitchers, you mean? Yeah, most people tend to avoid Rocky pitchers.
I'm in a Rocky. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Why don't you play Rockies?
A Rocky is a Rocky is a Rocky.
I mean, Rocky pitchers are always
Rocky pitchers. I don't care.
It's a dangerous game there. I know that on occasion.
Remember a guy named? Does anyone?
Jeff Francis.
Remember a pitcher by the name of Brian Ricard?
No, that one doesn't ring a bell to
me.
Look him up someday. He cost me a league with one start in September. And, I swear I would never. Except Lenny had me picked up German Marquez one year, which was very insightful. But that's about it.
How do you spell his name, dude?
Anyways,
Rakar? I don't know.
Brian
But no-
Rekar, RKAR.
Oh, trust me, I know you know that name, because if it costs you, you know his name.
Yeah, he's
He's
here.
long
Let me check
gone.
him
He's
out.
not relevant. But
I on occasion when you're desperate, I've played Rocky pitchers like Herman Marquez and John Gray. Austin Gomber this year has had some good ones, but you got to be desperate. It's got to be like you're back up against the wall.
I picked up Wilmer Flores.
That's not awful.
I love
I
Wilmer.
like what. Yeah, Belt's out a while, right? So Wilmer, I had him on my list of maybe guys to go after.
So yeah, I did pick up him. Who else did we get? You guys can go to and say some of yours.
Mine aren't that interesting. I mean, in a 2-catcher league, I picked up Reese McGuire, who's hitting the ball like you wouldn't believe recently.
Mm-hmm.
Now my catchers are Reese McGuire and Luis Torrens, which is so exciting.
Hey, Luis Torrens was like the best. He was like the most. He had the most points this past.
Yeah, no, I did, I just picked him up last week. I look brilliant. That's all that's important. It doesn't matter whether I win or lose. It just makes me. If I look brilliant, that's good enough for me.
Owning a catcher is like trying to pick a tight end for fantasy football. You just never know what you're gonna get.
I generally just ignore it entirely. I'm happy enough if my catcher just like I will. All I really want in my catcher is don't hurt my batting average too badly. That's it. I don't care if you do anything else because like there's a couple catchers that'll hit 20 home runs and they just cost way too much to get. But once you get to about catcher 8 and you go to catcher 8 to catcher 30, you're looking at like if I started Jose Lobaton, I'd get 5 home runs on the year. And ever somebody's excited about somebody else who gets him 11. Who really cares? 6 home runs. I'll get it somewhere else.
No, I'm sorry. I actually was going to just say about catchers that I noticed that Mike Zunino was hitting again. Maybe he was already on someone's team in your league, but I had him at the beginning of the year. He hits home runs, but he's always horrible in batting average. So if he's not hitting home runs, then it's just a nightmare to have him. So then I dropped him for a while, and then he's been hitting again lately. So he's worth the.
I have that same thing with Bobby Dahlbeck. Every time I have is when he's on my team, he's horrible. He was off my team for 2 weeks. He hit 328 with 3 home runs. The only time in the history of his world he did that. I just dropped him this week, and today he already hits a home run. Like that's it. He literally went 0 for 13 on my team for a week. You know, it's like, yeah, you're horrible. But I got Cole Calhoun in that spot, and I believe he's coming back. And I need outfielders more than I need first baseman because that's the league that I lost. I lost Calhoun. Robert Ozuna. I lost, on a 5 outfielder league. I need outfielders back. There's something else I lost, but I forget who it was. But that's it.
Do you guys know that I have 11 injured players in Tout Wars? 11. I think that has to be a record right now, even though these players are not as good as the ones that I had before that are injured. So the quality of player does matter. But Denelson Lamet, Malpal, he's pretty much. Are you going to say that I should walk away with my head up high and just forget about it for this year, or what?
Yeah, I'd say nice try. I tried all I could for him, but bye. They haven't really said much about him, but he dropped like 5 miles an hour, like in about 2 batters.
Yeah.
Against the Diamondbacks the other night. It was like noticeable, and these guys were teeing off.
He only made it one in the he didn't make it past the second inning. Yeah, and they absolutely said his velocity dropped big time. He's hurt again. That's all there is to it. He didn't have surgery on his injury before going. When he left last year, it was still the end of the season. Remember, he was out for the last week. I was so close to winning Tout Wars. I needed him so bad that he didn't pitch. So he was out. He didn't come back he was healing up all the time, but he didn't ever go through surgery or anything. This most recent injury. Whatever it is, Yeah,
they're not looking good for sure.
I think I picked up Eric Fetty, but he's on the DL now. So
yeah, I did that last week. I picked up Fulmer and Fetty, and they both went to the IL. It's just so common now that I don't even think anything about it. It's like, okay, people are getting injured. It's like, yeah, that's life. I did sort of in the shallower leagues. I parted ways with Brandon Belt, who I still believe in, but he's just on the IL way too much for
That's
a shallower
why you need
league.
Wilmer, dude. You need Wilmer. See?
For the shallower league.
I just like saying his name.
I did pick up Andrew Benintendi. Someone dropped him out of pure frustration.
Are you kidding me?
Yep. It
Well,
was
I
a thing.
guess.
But he's not having a bad year. He was 270, 8 home runs, 8 steals.
He was having a nice year, actually. Better.
Yeah.
He was one of the guys in a show not too long ago. I said I'm wrong about him. He's better than I thought he was.
And the good thing is we get 3-year contracts in my dynasty league. He's 3 years at $1. So whoever dropped him, I have no idea why, but
he's injured.
You get the
he's coming back like July 7th, July 6th in that range.
Yeah. You get to pick up a guy off waivers and he contracts at $1. That seems kind of light.
Well, no, he was drafted at 3 years for $1 or $2 just because he wasn't highly regarded this year.
Okay, that makes more sense.
And then if you drop him, you contain whatever contracts he had, and I didn't know he was 3 years, so I was like, all right, I'll stash him on my outfield.
I have a similar thought, and that was something I was going to bring up I've been thinking about. Well, Fred, we'll talk about it in the other side. I've been thinking about picking up Jarren Duran, and it's in a league where you have one minor league slot, and in that one minor league slot, I have Jared Kelenic, and I'm like,
That's tough.
well, I mean, yeah, no, it's not so much for this year; it's for the future years. But in that, if I were to pick him up, I would get him I would have Jared Kelenic in the 17th round. But if I were to switch and do the Jared Duran, I'd have Jared Duran in the 10th round. And I think that, I think that if you combine, I don't think, and it's not a dynasty league, it's a keeper league just to be, you keep 4 players. I don't think the Kelenics going to be good enough to keep even in the 17th round. So,
well, you only get to, I'm sorry, say the last part again about how many you get to keep.
It's a keep 4. It's a keep 4. And like my first 3, I think.
Any 4. It could be a minor leaguer, any 4. You don't get like a special.
Yeah, you don't get a special spot. Yeah, it's only they get 1 spot for a minor leaguer, and it's that. But I have Ty France in the 15th, Verdugo in the 11th, and Verlander in the 21st. So that's 3 out of 4. I think are just so good at those cheap prices. And then like I have Luis Robert in the 7th, and Teoscar Hernandez in the 6th. Jose Brew in the 4th. It's like I'm probably not going to keep him.
Hi, George. George is here. Yay, George. Okay. I love it when George comes to our show. Okay. So, sorry to cut you off, Douglas.
One of the best things about George's show yesterday was getting to sing the McGill Gorilla theme song. I thought that was really special.
Oh, you liked it?
That was my favorite. When I was 6 years old, that was my favorite cartoon. And I had just been talking about it with my nephew.
So let's go ahead and just use that little intro to talk about some prospects that are on the verge of coming up or waiting to come up, like calling out, waiting to get the call. And you bring up Duran. I don't know how to say his name. Jarren Duran.
It's Duran, I think it is.
Jarren Duran.
Like Roberto Duran.
Am I saying?
Yeah, I believe it's Duran. Right? I think it's Jarren Duran.
Jarren Duran. Yes, you're the prospect guy. So let me just say this about him, and then you guys, Douglas, you can explain why, what it is about him that you like. But he does have a pretty clear path to playing time should he get called up. That's why I think he's probably, like, if you were going to be waiting for a prospect to come up, he's probably going to be the next guy. And that, by the way, one thing, like this one guy got called up today, Alejo, for Alejo Lopez.
He had a lot of home runs in the minors. I saw that.
He's not in any of my. He's not even in the ESPN pool. Why is he not in the pool?
Because he's such a deep prospect that he's probably not in anybody's pool except for maybe Fantrax.
How rude. He's not in RotoWire either. Okay, so
yeah,
that's fine.
it's there's like 1,400 different players or something in the minors, right?
Okay, no, but he was hitting the best. He's the best hitter in the minors. That's not a joke. When you see that headline, that's very true. And he was actually drafted in 2015 MLB player draft. And he did go and play some Mexican league, but the fact that he's not in there when he was drafted by MLB in 2015 is just, it's beyond me. I've never seen that before for a player. Maybe
I see it all the time, actually. It's with those. I don't think was Zach Thompson in people's things. Was this the guy that threw the perfect game, whatever his name is? Like those guys are just so fringy on the prospect list that they're not in there. And a guy that was drafted in 2015, he might have been in there in 2016, but maybe they removed it.
Well, he's been hitting amazing in the minors this year. He's been just hitting like crazy, getting doubles, getting on base. Great, not striking out. I think he got on base all but 2 games this season so far. Anyway, he's up. Cincinnati. He's going to play some infield. I wish I could go grab him right this minute in my NL only, but I can't because he's not in the. And George is here, so he probably already knew about him.
Well, he'll be in the bids, so you have to bid like everybody else. Maybe he'll sneak around. He'll sneak in there. You know.
Well, if you bid, you get him. You just pick him up. That's how it works. You just pick him up, and he's available to you.
Oh, really? That's weird.
In that league, they do like if he would have been dropped, he would have been on waivers.
But isn't a new player also put on waivers? Like
I'm
a player
not
that's added?
sure. I can't say. I can't say for sure if that's the case or not. Matt Hooper, he picked up Kyle Freeland too. Good luck to us. Okay, that's all I have to say. Good luck to us for that one. All right, so let's talk about Jarren Duran. They say that he's going to be pretty good. The biggest thing for me is that he has a spot to play. Douglas, what do you like about him?
Well, the thing, like the earliest thing about him was the fact that he possesses the basic skills to play at the major league level, which is the capacity to pick his pitches and to field the outfield well. And
he steals bases too.
Well, then you throw in like he had historically been he's a 70 grade speed. He's fast. He steals bases. The question on him was always, will he have major league power? And he kind of profiled to be one of those guys that might be like, 9 or 11 home runs, but 30 stolen bases, which there's a perfect use for it. But in the past year or so, he's bulked up a good deal. He's changed the way he's been hitting. And if you saw him hit in the spring training, or if you've seen him hit this year, the home runs are there. And so this guy is, he brings up everyone was going nuts about Andrew Benintendi. This is what Benintendi, this guy can do what people expected Andrew Benintendi to do. And 3 years ago, people were talking about him as a 2nd or 3rd round pick in fantasy. And this guy is that. And because he's not a complete unknown, but there are places where he's available in dynasty leagues because he sort of fell off he was in the futures game in 2017, and then he had like a bad second half of the year, and sometimes that makes people go away from those prospects. So there's actually some availability. Part of the reason why I wasn't excited about Wander Franco getting called up is because he literally was drafted in every league I'm in. It was the most unexciting debut in the history of fantasy baseball for those leagues. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. So he should have been traded immediately upon call up. That's my theory. Joe, do you have anything to say about Duran?
His profile reminds me of if the power is real, is what Lewis Robert's supposed to be, 30-30, 20-30, kind of that same. He does strike out. There is swing and miss in this game, even though his averages come up a little bit. He was like 240 for a little bit.
He's actually pretty darn good this year on strikeouts, I guess. I mean, this guy never showed any kind of like Keston Hiura type strikeouts. He's always been just either in the teens or the low 20s for strikeouts. Like right now, he's striking out 24% of the time, which is kind of high. But I mean, it seems to me that he doesn't strike out that much.
But I think he's a 20-20 guy and hit 260, 270.
Good.
I think that's
his strikeout average was lower in the minors early on, but when he made the switch to try to get more power, he added about 5% more strikeouts.
Yeah,
which is a reasonable trade-off. To go from 19 to 24, but have the capacity to hit 25 home runs. I'll take that.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, pal, anything on this guy? He's 200 pounds, 6'2".
Is he a righty or lefty at bat?
He's a lefty.
Yeah.
He bats lefty, throws right.
Yeah. He bats lefty, throws righty.
He's Ricky Henderson.
Oh my goodness.
No, that's the lefty, right?
I mean, he's got Hunter. The only thing he's got stopping him is Hunter Renfroe, so I think that says it all.
Well, he can play center field. That's the big thing.
He plays mostly center field.
Are they talking about bringing him up, or are we just speculating?
We're speculating.
I think that I was just speculating, saying that he's on this list at the top for me because I think he'll get called up the soonest because I think that he has a chance for everyday at bats. He can play all 3 outfield positions.
The one thing that's a little bit in the way is
right. So
he is he's a member of the USA Olympic baseball
Oh.
team,
Is he?
and some
Yes.
people are saying that they're going to wait to let him play in the Olympics before they call him
Oh.
up.
Yes, I did not know that. That's a huge thing. I absolutely do not.
He's
see,
probably
I
their
mean,
best hitter.
Yeah.
So you got to wait till after the Olympics. That's like changes everything for him.
Well,
I
it's only a
think he-
couple weeks.
I think he's going to get caught up and be platoon because Hunter Renfroe hits righty, Duran hits lefty. I could see them bringing him in on the opposite days of Renfroe, depending on the pitching.
I don't know if they'd bring a guy up and to just bench him half the time. I don't know though. I mean, who knows? How long can the Olympics
It's
last?
a seventh round pick. You might as well see what you got out of it.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, if you're going to speculate, go ahead. But what do you think? How long do the Olympics last?
The Olympics are 2 weeks. He'll
Well,
probably
baseball is going to play at the front end of the Olympics, so it'll be over by like day 6 or day 7 for baseball.
I would say probably August 1st. You'll probably see him.
Do they like do eliminating? Don't they do like they start out with a whole bunch of teams and then they just keep eliminating until?
It's the first year back in the Olympics, and there's only 6 teams in it, so they're going to play like it's basically a round robin tournament, I believe, this year, where you get two you get to lose 2 games and you're out,
Malpal, do you have anything?
like the College World Series.
On Duran, no. Other than
Okay.
I think Hunter Renfroe is terrible, and it seems like he has a.
I don't think Hunter Renfroe's terrible.
Renfroe's not terrible in that club.
Yeah, he's like one of those guys. Like he's a solid Major League Baseball player who's unexciting for fantasy.
If he started for the Red Sox every day, he could hit 30 home runs on that club.
Yeah. So the next guy on the list is
I don't know. I'd be interested in his splits, but I saw that guy play for 5 years in San Diego. I don't think he ever hit a right-hander out of the infield, but I might be wrong on that. Not that I'm biased.
Oh wow, that is Friday.
That guy's no good.
Yes, we you don't like this.
Anyways,
You
go
don't like
ahead.
him. Fidel Brujan was on the list to talk about as one of these prospects that get called up soon and that's waiting. But Malpal was kind to point out that he's been having just a horrible time, this guy, Vidal Brujan. And, it's not like the Tampa Bay Rays have a lot of spot for him to play right now. They would really have to crunch him in to fit him in. And he's been absolutely horrific. And if I had his numbers up, I would tell you. But let me tell you this, that he's been hitting in the minor leagues for the past 25 games. He's been hitting under 200. And so I just, last time I looked, it was good. And I kind of took him off the list, but Joe said that he thought that he was still worth talking about. So please do.
Oh, I don't think he's worth talking about in the positive. I've never been high on him because he's never been a high-level prospect. The power's never really been there. He could steal, 40 bases, but I never seen anything that is a high-level prospect that I wanted to own on the dynasty team. I never have. Because if he doesn't hit, he's what was the speed guy? Hamilton.
Billy Hamilton, yeah.
Yeah, he's just Billy Hamilton at that point. Yeah. I think he's got better hit tools than Billy Hamilton, but
he also knows how to take a walk. He's not that bad. He's not bad that way.
I just don't see enough that I was excited about him as a prospect because I didn't hear much of him before this year.
Really?
Yeah, we knew about him last year, but
I mean, little bits and pieces, but nothing like going, ooh and ah over.
Well, there was. I mean, maybe I just listen to Tampa Bay stuff more than that. But when Tampa Bay traded Luis Rengifo to the Angels, it was because they were creating space for Brujan. That was like 3 years ago. But because he seemed in the minors to be able to hit for like high average and steal bases. Yeah, the power thing is new. The power thing may not be there, but the power thing is new for a lot of people. Including the Duran who we just talked about. Maybe it's 6, maybe it doesn't. Who knows? But he's a guy that can field the position. Now they can play center field, and he can steal you 30 bases. And Billy Hamilton, as bad as he was when he was a threat to steal you 50 bases, he was pushing 3rd round pick value.
Yeah,
on stolen bases alone. So that's one of those things that.
Well, for Brujan, I think people got overexcited. He was playing with Franco at AAA, and he was doing really well. And they're almost like comparing him those two together. But I think that was a mistake. But he's hit fairly well at every level. He's been a top 100 prospect for a couple years. And I don't know. We'll see. He's had a bad 3-week stretch. We'll see how he bounces back and maybe revisit him August 1 and see where he's at. He's had a horrific run, but we'll see.
And he has a chance to steal in the Billy Hamilton level. He sold 60 bases in 2018, 50 in 2019. I mean, it's not just a little bit of stolen base. It's a big part of what he does.
Yeah.
So, Now, one other thing I'll just notate on this 3-week downfall that he's had is that he's still hitting, he's still making contact 81% of the time. It has not changed. His strikeout percentage has not changed. He still strikes out 16%. His walk rate has actually gone up. So I don't see anything here that he's striking out a lot more. He's not walking. He's not getting on base. He's just having a lot of bad luck. I think his batting average on balls in play is super low, lower than it's ever been any other of his seasons. And so I'm not going to cut him off of the list of potential impact, players this year. It's just that because Tampa Bay doesn't have a lot of spot for him, then he's not going to get called up unless he's catching hair on fire and stuff like that. I don't know. What do they call it? Running with your hair on fire? What?
Something like
what
that.
is it, Douglas?
I mean, he'll if they're in playoff, he'll be a September call up for sure. I think just because
he'll be up sometime today.
And he can run. Yeah.
And he can run.
They did change the call-up rules, right? Because the roster's only expanded 28. They don't expand to 40 anymore.
Oh,
So
yes.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
But okay, so
was that just last year, or is that this year?
That was a permanent move that was going to happen in 2020 before the pandemic hit.
Why do I feel like they were sending them to Arizona Fall League or something?
Yesterday the two instructional leagues started, so people, that's what people were thinking, which was a depressing day for me because it's the first year there's no instructional league anywhere near me. Close one's in Lakeland. If Daniel Ferrera's out there and you want to go to a game, let me know.
Is Daniel here?
He's probably out there. But he lives outside.
Yeah,
Lakeland.
he's close to you.
Lakeland's about 50 minutes, 45 minutes, but I would drive there for a baseball game.
So what is Joe Adell doing lately? Joe Adell is not hitting any home runs lately, but he started the season excellent. I just don't get why the Angels haven't bothered to bring him up. I guess they say that he's horrible at defense or he strikes out too much. Or
that's not true. I've seen Adell play defense, and he was on Team USA the last time around, and he played center field, and he wasn't hitting very well, but his defense was stellar. It's I mean, I don't know. It's one of the things they just say about prospects when they want to hold them down. Got to work on the defense a little bit.
No, his defense is pretty bad. If you look at the defensive runs,
he looked good in the Olympic qualifying.
Did he get fat or something? I don't know. Maybe he got fat.
Well, they brought up Scott Schebler.
Well, yeah, that's the real reason. Why would you bring up Joe Adell when you have Scott Schebler and Luis Rengifo there? You don't need him.
Come on, man. Come on. No. Dude, what are they thinking?
No,
he's doing what he's been doing on and off every year for the last 2 years.
Right.
They just need to call him up because they're in the race now. They're above 500. They're buying their time till Trout comes back, and the team is still in the running.
If you look at what the management is saying about Joe Adell,
what are they saying?
They say the same thing in different words, but at the very end they'll say, when we bring him up this time, we don't want to send him back down. Like that's what they're holding off on. They want it to be perfect because they want him to be up for good next time they call him. I don't know.
It's the same stuff everybody says. He's got to work on something little, and we'll want him to.
It's past time now, though, that they are trying to when they're trying to
manipulate
agree. The system. That's fine, but I just wonder. Maybe he does have a problem with defense, but
the only thing I can think of is maybe Upton's injury isn't that serious, but maybe. I mean, I would never trust in the health of Justin Upton, but that team has got Trout, that team has got Ohtani. It's bad around them. Why not bring up something a little more to excite them? Well, Walsh has been decent. They've been a couple things on the pitching side. It just seems like they don't care to win.
The
They're
Angels
winning.
are like one of the most. Angels are. They should be a major disappointment. That fan base is huge. They get 2.5, 3 million, and they just run out duds every year. And it's a pretty pathetic organization.
I would like to talk bad about the Angels, but when they're winning without Mike Trout and they got up over 500 when I thought they were dead.
They're still in last place, though.
Chuck back
I know. But if that team could stay above water till they get Trout back in that lineup, that's going to be huge. I think that's going to dictate a devil as well.
Not with that pitching staff. Not with that pitching staff. It's awful. I mean, you got
that pitching staff is better than the Red Sox pitching staff, and the Red Sox are like 14 games over 500. The Red Sox, I don't know how they're doing it, because you've got some really. When Nick Pivetta is your shining star, yeah.
No, Eovaldi, get it right.
Eovaldi.
Or Martin Perez, get him off of there. Cut him. Tired of him.
Okay, Eduardo Rodriguez is a nightmare. So
they got Chris Sale coming here in less than a month.
I'm so glad. I'm sorry, Douglas. Go ahead.
I was looking at their pitching staff. They have Ohtani. Sandoval's been pretty good.
Yep.
He's been okay. It's just really we just don't like Dylan Bundy. That's all it is.
No, it's their bullpen too.
They got Canning
who's make it out of the second inning.
Canning's been pitching good enough for that rotation. I mean, it's not the worst rotation in baseball.
It's okay. That's what I was going to say. It's okay. They were trotting out that one guy for a while, Quintana.
Oh God, get him! Yeah.
What, you hate Quintana now? Everybody hates him.
No, I look the trade that they made. Who made that trade? Was it the White Sox that traded him?
The Cubs traded the White Sox. You're talking about the trade that moved Cease and Eloy Jimenez.
Yeah, that was highway robbery. That was perfect.
No, at the time that was a good trade for the Cubs. No one thought that they had 2 years of control of a guy that had pitched pretty well for a number of years with the White Sox. No one thought he was going to be as bad as he was. Something just happened. He fell off the cliff. Like he had a good first 6 months with the Cubs. No, not first 3 months with the Cubs, and then he was horrible the rest of the way. That was just weird. I don't know what it was. Sometimes you make bad moves. I mean, that was going to say about the Angels. The Angels had tried. When they signed Josh Hamilton and they signed, I forget, they signed that shortstop from the Reds. And they signed Anthony Rendon. And they signed Albert Pujols, and then they just don't work out for them. You at least give them credit for trying. You can't knock them for making those moves. I think the Cubs made the right move. It just kind of sucks it didn't work out for them. Yeah. Because who knew that Quintana would go back to mediocrity after? I mean, the thing about Quintana going at that point was he wasn't a great pitcher, but he was for he was
a number 3.
And he was number 3 good for 5 consecutive years. It's like the ERA was right around 3.5. He won about as many games as he lost.
He was just K per 9.
He was a model of consistency in what he did, and it went away.
Oh my God, Kyle Schwarber just hit another home run.
Yeah,
15 and 17 games.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, that's the Cubs going. When the Cubs, as I said before the season, when the Cubs said we'll take Peterson instead of Schwarber, it's like, yeah, we don't want to win.
Yeah, I just got the alert because my friend's tagging me with it.
Well, he hit a home run in the first inning. That Eichhoff led up like back-to-back home runs to Schwarber and I think Turner, or was it?
Oh no, he did. Eichhoff. I didn't see this. That's too bad for me. I picked him up.
Scoring
first 4 pitches, 2 home runs. That's stinky.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's the way to start the game off. But then
Lucky
after that,
to forget. I know.
Kyle Schwarber's got 22 home runs. Oh my God.
And Kyle Schwarber is not on the All-Star ballot, and Jock Peterson is. Yeah.
Okay. You hate Jock Peterson, and you have no reason to.
I hate Jock Peterson because he's a lousy baseball player.
No, he isn't. He's better.
It's like if he's in this finalist thing for the vote. If he gets more than 2 votes, somebody's hacked that thing. He should get his mom's vote and his wife's vote. If he has male members of his family, I'm assuming they know baseball and they won't vote for him.
No, he'll get voted in somehow.
No.
You people are too rude to him. He's not that bad of a player.
Only because he's pathetically awful. He turned a 188 batting season into a $7 million contract, and for another $7 million, we could have got Hal Schwarber back.
You know what? Jock Peterson is not that bad actually compared to the rest of just relative to the rest of the baseball
The rest
players.
of the league at this point.
He has 11 home runs already.
Can I go back to the Angels
Go back to the Angels.
Is it
Yeah,
halfway
go
done
ahead.
now?
real question because I like being the devil's advocate in this shit. Tell me which one of these guys is any good. Griffin Canning with his 4.95 ERA, Alex Cobb, who I don't even know if you can count his ERA, Bundy with a 7 ERA, and Andrew Heaney with a 5 ERA.
You're
Those are your
missing
four
Sandoval.
starting
You're missing Sandoval, who's probably the third best pitcher right now.
Behind Otani
But he's not in there.
And you got
Ohtani.
Ohtani. And you got Ohtani.
Funny.
You only really need 3 good arms or decent arms, and fourth and fifth you could rotate. They have 3 arms that they like enough, and that 5 batters in that lineup is pretty deep.
Give me a second good pitcher on that team that you would roster in a mixed league. Just curious.
Griffin Canning with strikeouts.
I'd consider Canning.
Canning
4.95 ERA.
I think it's. I think it's going to get better as the season progresses.
Is that good?
Canning had a mid 3 ERA till he got blown up 2 out of his last 6 starts.
I would take Andrew Heaney. He's the number 2 in my opinion.
But that's a better roster than Boston.
Well, it's not though. According to the numbers, it's not.
There's a lot of bad pitching staffs out there. I think we're picking on the Angels.
Well, they're pitching.
I am picking on the Angels. Yeah.
I'll go with him and pick on the Angels too.
Everyone else is defending them, so I guess.
Well, I don't think.
That's right.
The thing is I think if Trout's in that lineup for the last 2 months, they're not 37 and 40.
They're still
which is a lot better than I thought they would be at this point without Trout.
How about, let me just do this real quick, and then we'll talk about Bobby Witt Jr., because he could be the next guy called up too. But just to let everybody know, Adele is hitting pretty good. He's got 16 home runs, a couple stolen bases. He's batting .330, since June 1st, so that's pretty good.
He should already be there.
But he strikes out a lot.
Everybody strikes out in the league now.
That's true. So there you go. Bobby Witt Jr., Kansas City shortstop. Whoop-de-doo. He's got only 11 home runs and 11 stolen bases. 192 plate appearances. He's batting .269. And he improved his strikeout rate this month down to 22.2%.
Before you got on, we were talking about players I picked up, and I made a dynasty trade and picked up Bobby Witt Jr.
What'd you have to give for him?
So our league is 12-team deep rosters. The guy needed a pitcher, so I gave up Griffin Canning because he needed somebody to fill his roster. Waivers are trash in our league, but he also needed a bat to fill in, so I traded Ryan McMahon, who does play first, second, and third. So it's a good bat. He's not bad in Colorado.
Wait, so you tell me what you gave up to get?
It sounds like Canning and McMahon for
Canning and McMahon, and I got Bobby Witt Jr. and I got Andrew Vaughn back.
Okay. Wow. That's pretty good.
So I'm selling out for next season, but at the same time, I'm just outside of the last spot. So if I lose out, I got a prospect, and if I make the playoffs, I still got the prospect.
For sure. Anybody? Douglas, you like? Everybody likes Witt.
I like Witt.
Does he have a place to play? That's my next question.
Well, second base, because Nicky Lopez isn't any good, and then Mondesi is perpetually hurt. But yeah, second base.
Are they gonna? I don't. What's the thought? Are they? I haven't really tracked these recent guys. I know Franco's in AAA, but do we expect Bobby Witt to spend some time at AAA before being called up, or is he one of these guys that they'll just pull up out of AA?
I think he goes from double to the majors because they already say they think it's bats major league ready already. His glove is amazing. He's got his defense is really good.
This guy's never played anything
so why don't
but
they move
AA.
a guy like that up to AAA? I'm just curious.
I think they would send him to AAA, but I think his stay in AAA will be short.
Yeah, if he goes to triple, it would be a week or two, and if he hits immediately, he's up. But I would not be shocked if they pull him from double to triple. I mean, double to major. I would not.
Yeah, he's not played anywhere else. He's not played. This is it for him. He was in. What's our league mean? What is that?
Rookie league. Doesn't exist anymore, but it used to.
Okay, in 2019, that's what he played. But he has never played anything but this year at Double A. So maybe last year he was at the alternate training site. We're missing a whole season of stats for these youngsters. But I don't see why they wouldn't do it. If they're not going to make the playoffs, the teams that don't make the playoffs, they figure out they're not going to make the playoffs. They usually tend to bring up their young players and just let them play and get used to it and stuff like that. Especially, they have Benintendi out, they have Mondesi out. Mondesi is been out and will be out for a while more.
And the Royals like to call up their prospects whether they're winning or not. They have a really big habit of doing that
and sending them back down in 8 days. But yeah, they do. They've called up at least 5 named prospects already this year.
Yeah, and they like him enough that he's not going to overgrow shortstop. They like him as the shortstop of the future.
Jackson Coar, that was
Kyle
one.
Freeland threw a shutout tonight.
Daniel Lynch, Edward Alvarez.
Is that
really
true? I just have to see. I have to put my glasses.
Not a shutout, but 5 innings. I'm sorry, but they threw a shutout.
Kyle Freeland, yay for me.
7 strikeouts. Congrats.
Hooper, me and you, Matt Hooper.
Yeah, Matt Hooper said that he wasn't able to pick up the guy that lit up the home runs. He wasn't able to get Eichhoff, but he got Freeland.
Yay, that's great.
So, they played the Pirates. Does that count?
That's why I picked him up. So that counts, right? I mean, I picked him up just because they played the Pirates.
Oh, Kyle Schwarber just hit another home run. He's got 2 tonight.
I'm probably playing the guy that has Kyle Schwarber on his team. Let me find out who. Anyway, let's move on. I don't have them, so I'm sure I'm playing the guy that has them.
Oh, I'm playing the guy that has them this week, so.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
Go me.
Mackenzie Gore, Malpal, you got any news on him? I looked about a week ago. I saw that he wasn't doing very well.
I have not heard anything out of him, but I can find out. No, what do you know?
The only thing I'm hearing is
no talk of him.
The only thing is control problems is kind of I think that's why he didn't really get fast tracked. Is the control is still iffy.
He just got roughed up. Go ahead, Malpal. Sorry.
No, it was me. I don't know anything personally, but I listened to Rich Wilson and Tim McLeod, and he said that Rich Wilson said that he heard from people that there's whispers around McGore that he might not be as good as they think, and he might follow the Forrest Whitley path.
Oh,
which
come on, man.
That's what he said he heard. Forrest Whitley. Remember how great everyone thought Forrest Whitley would be, and where is he at?
So what explains it, though? Do we even know enough about Forrest Whitley to be comparing other young players?
Well, no, the idea is just he got really hyped, but the skills aren't quite there yet. That's the thing.
Forrest Whitley got a little hot. The call-ups were coming, and then he sucked. And then the next year he sucked again, and then obviously he hurt himself. But it just he
got suspended.
I mean, whatever Mackenzie Gore was in 2019, that's still the guy he is now. He's having a bad season right now, but we'll see. I don't think he's going to get the call up because he's just not pitching that well. But he was an exciting prospect going into the season, and San Diego pitching is not that good this year. It's definitely nowhere near what I expected it to be, and I don't know really why I was expecting such fabulous pitching from them other than Darvish, and I loved Clevenger too, who's hurt, but I knew that Lamet had injury problems. I knew that Paddock was a little risky and just not, we haven't seen we saw him good one season, but
Musgrove's been better than we thought. I mean, we thought he'd be okay, but he's actually been good.
I just thought, so the Padres, but they're still winning, right?
Yeah, I just looked up Gore. They went 3 innings, he got 5 walks. Then he pitched 2 innings, no hits, but 1 K. And then he got lit up the next game with 6 runs. 2 were earned, but I'm sure there was traffic there.
Did we talk about other youngsters?
There's a guy that may get the call up here soon. And he's super good prospect, Luis Patino, the San Diego prospect that went to Tampa. Tampa's stretching him out as a starter currently.
Oh, good. Okay.
And
Yeah, 'cause
his stuff, if you've seen him in these futures game, his stuff is incredible. So,
he was pitching with them earlier this year, but they were kind of jerking him around in that sort of. He was the guy that followed the opener spot, but they're saying he's going to be a starter. That's good.
yep, they're stretching him out. I think he just went 5 innings, I believe, his last start. So they're stretching him out for maybe an August, September run. Because, I mean, they need a spot in the rotation because they really don't have one, but his talent is there. I mean, yeah. So that's somebody I would stash if you can get him.
You guys down in the Tampa area, what do you think of Shane Baz versus Patino?
Patino.
Yeah, I think so too. But I don't think Baz is bad. I think he's solid pitcher.
Well, but they're going to have Baz, Patino, and McClanahan come here soon in the rotation.
It looks like Patino is up. It looks like he came up already once this year.
Yeah, he came up as a reliever, and he was doing the 1 inning or the 4 inning kind of.
Yeah, he was doing the 2 or he was pitching like 2 innings a game, and he was the guy who came in after the opener. I actually had him on my team because he got a couple wins that way, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, they want him as a full-time. They want him to do kind of like Shane McClanahan, 4 or 5 innings, and then work him. Like Shane McClanahan's gone 6 innings, and he's pitching almost 90 pitches a game now. So
let me tell you what this Luis Patino did in the minors right before he got called back up. The last 3 starts that he's had, June 12th, the 19th, and the 25th, he pitched 5 innings all 3 times, and he didn't allow any earned runs.
Yep. His fastball reminds me. Oh, Adrian, we can't. You're muted.
Did I do that?
No.
I don't know.
Oh, we got you. His fastball reminds me of Dustin May, where he can move it across on the entire plate.
Douglas, you're the host, and you're muting me, dude.
No, I didn't think I did. I was muting myself because I was coughing, and and I did somehow it carried over to you somehow. I don't know how that happened.
You. I know you wouldn't do that on
purpose. It was purely accidental.
Well, I'm going to grab this guy wherever I can find him because when he was up last time, it says he was pitching 3-4 innings, which I love very much in this day and age. But he was successful in that stint pretty much. I mean, his ERA overall was 4.38 because he had a couple blow-ups. He had one outing where he gave up 4 runs, but he had. I mean, I call it an outing, but I guess it should be called an appearance because he was making an appearance in the game, not an outing, like he wasn't starting at the major league level. But like I said, no earned runs in the past 3 starts in the minors, all 3 of them 5 innings and 3 wins too.
What are his Ks?
11. So in those 3 starts, he had 23 strikeouts in 15 innings.
Yeah, His fastball sits 98, 99 and moves, swipes across the plate.
He's got grade A stuff. I watched him. I followed him for a couple 3 years here. He is a slight guy. He's a small guy. So I don't know. Don't be surprised if he's a 5-inning type starter, especially early, which is not necessarily a bad thing if he can qualify for a win. But
yeah,
he's not a big burly guy. He's a real smallish type guy.
Think of the same stuff that
I don't know what that means.
Shane McClanahan. It's the same stuff. Those high 90s, has a wipeout slider, and he has a 90-mile-an-hour changeup. That's the same. That's the Tampa success. There is those 3 pitches. That's their. But it's the same stuff that Shane has. They're calling up, so you should see similar kind of movement.
Okay, anybody else for young? That's a great one, by the way, Joe. That was a very good.
Yeah, I got him about 2 weeks ago, anticipating it. So I'm just hoping that sticks.
Okay, good. Us too. I'm glad you told us about him.
Are we on prospects?
Well, yeah, we're getting ready to be done unless you have another one.
Just one more. This is long-term next season. But Reed, how do you pronounce his name, Doug?
Detmers.
Detmers struck out 15 and 16 his last 2 outings in Double-A.
Holy crow. I don't think that's – how many innings is he pitching?
He's got 76 Ks in 41 innings.
He's Corbin Burns Jr.
It's more. He does give up hard contact, but 16 Ks in 6 innings is insane.
Hey Joe, I want to give you an assignment for forever. If you're looking through prospects and you find anybody who's any good that's playing in the newly minted Florida, whatever they're calling the league nowadays, the Florida Developmental League. It's called the Florida. Geez, let me know because I want to know what games they're gonna do. It seems like everybody worth going to see has already been promoted up, except for Jason Dominguez.
Yeah, don't get me started on that. He should be on a minor league roster by now.
Really? You like him that much?
He should at least be in high A.
I always assume that if the Yankee prospect, he's always just a little bit overrated. I just assume that.
Well, no, I think he's if he can live up to 60% of what they're doing, he's going to be outstanding.
But what was the Yankees' last good prospect that they actually developed? It's probably Robinson Cano, right?
Gary Sanchez. Gary Sanchez is still a power hitting. When he's not had the last year, he's 30 home run catcher, which is good. Gleyber Torres. No, they didn't develop him.
They didn't develop him. You could maybe say Aaron Judge.
Yeah. I mean, they've been pretty decent. The ones they hit on are monsters, but they don't really have. Their success rate's a little lower, but when they hit, they hit.
I didn't mean to distract, but if you ever hear anybody any good,
I'll look it up this week. I have no problem. If it's
just for the regular thing is because I'll take the drive down to Detroit. I'll take the drive down to Lakeland to see decent players, but
he's somebody you should stash for next year because
I'm planning on going to a Yankees game to see him play. That's the one I have planned.
Yeah, Reed's K to 9 is 16.4.
That's pretty good.
All right.
So this is for next year?
I would say. I mean, they could call him up late, but I think they're going to stash him next year because he was their first round pick, and this is his first year of playing. So I don't think they'll call him up, but definitely somebody I think could come up in May or June next year and be that strikeout rate you can't turn down.
Does everybody have a player to sell high? To sell right away? Sell this player? Do you guys have? I will go first if you want.
Go ahead.
I say that you should sell Fernando Tatis. I know it stinks because he's fun to watch. He's a great player. He's very good. But I did a little more research on his injury today, and I'm telling you that it is not good. Every time he accidentally pops the shoulder or partially dislocates his shoulder, it's called a subluxation or whatever it is. It means that it's not popping out all the way, that it's still it's still in its little fit where it fits in the shoulder. And sorry, hold on.
Oh, I agree with that.
Every time he pops it out, it tears. It could tear his labrum. He's going to eventually have to have surgery, and then I'm good. I'm going to put myself on mute because I got.
Well, no, I wanted to ask you the question because you had said this on something before, and the thing got to my head was trying to trade Tatis is like trying to trade Trout a couple years ago. There's no trade that fits. You're going to have to, because of this worry about the injury, no one's going to give you Mookie Betts and something.
Well, I think
anything less than that is too little.
I think the injury itself is bad on paper, and it's definitely could be bad long term. But what he's doing now, if you're first, second, or third in your league, I'm not trading Tatis. But if I'm middle of the road where I could get up in the top, or I don't think my team should be there, I'm trading Tatis, and I'm trying to get 2 players. I would go after Tatis right now if I could offer a decent enough package, but he's still going for a king's ransom.
No,
regardless of his injury.
I have Tatis in a couple of leagues, and I can't imagine what that trade would look like. It's like I don't know how somebody could, because when you're making a trade for a Tatis or a Acuna or a Trout, you kind of got to give a little more than the actual value to make the move. Now, maybe the injury makes it actual value, but it happens. But as I was actually talking to Mel Pal through via chat, and I said that Hanley Ramirez, who was a great prospect in his third year, had the same problem. He missed about 8 days. It was like he missed like 5 days once, 3 days another time. Played 154 games that year. Still hit 330 for the year. Still stole 50 bases. He only hit 21 home runs. And I think there's a better than 50-50 chance that he plays out the year, and even if he only plays 136 games, which would be missing a few other ones, he's going to be better than whatever package you could get traded for him.
Well, I mean, so a trade package, if you were to offer, because you're obviously going to need to replace shortstop, and you're not going to get top tier, but you could evolve a trade with Trevor Story and a top 15 pitcher would be reasonable. Trevor Story is still a shortstop I will still buy low on. That's not my buy low, but that would be.
I would buy Story. That's a good start, but name the pitcher, because if you're talking a guy who's the 15th pitcher, it's probably too little for Tatis for most Tatis owners. And if you're talking about a guy who's a top 5 pitcher, that's a different story. But the trade probably wouldn't be made.
Trevor Story and Trevor Bauer right now, because Bauer is kind of that. People are a lot worried about him.
I could see that, but I don't think that trade would ever be offered. But
yeah, if I had Tatis and I was offered that, and I'm middle of the road, and it's non-dynasty. Dynasty is sitting on my roster. I would probably accept that because I'm going to get a pitcher and I'm still going to get a hitting shortstop. I would probably do that trade.
Yeah. No, that's very good. I just don't think that's the kind of offer you're going to get, where you're really going to get a high end. You're going to get both a high end shortstop and a high end pitcher. You're going to get good stuff, or you'll probably get the situation where they offer you 3 players. Here you go. You get
you're buying low on Story and you're buying low on Bauer at this point, because Story still isn't doing anything significant. And Bauer, do we get Bauer from 3 years ago? Do we get the current Bauer? Or do we kind of get a blend? Any one of them are good, but which one do we end up with? With the spin rate.
Okay.
And she's on mute again.
I didn't do it this time. I promise you. She did it herself.
I did. No, that's good. I should be on mute all the time when I'm not talking. That way I can't just cut you off.
I sometimes put myself on mute just to stop myself from jumping in.
I should do that, but I don't do that. Anyways, Hanley Ramirez, you said, had this injury. Okay,
similar injury 2007.
Yes, he did. I'm looking it up while you guys are talking, and I find out that he had pretty much similar, but he was reporting that it kept popping out of the socket. The orthopedic surgeon that I read at The Athletic says that every time the shoulder pops out, it makes it so that it has more of a chance of doing it again. So the more that it happens, the more likely it's going to keep happening until surgery. And I just, beyond the whole idea that he should be traded and you would have to get something back. But here's a guy that we know this injury is not going away. We know what he's worth in trade. He is absolutely crushing it. And at any day, it could be over. And I think that everybody knows that he has a shoulder injury. But after he plays healthy for a week or so, it might be easier that people forget it. They're not talking about it. And after, he has one of those 3 home run games, then you make an offer for there's no way you should trade him for anything less than the best player in baseball, because that's what he is,
I was likening it to the Trout, the last 5 years with Trout. I would hear about possibilities of trades for Trout, but Trout actually never moved in any of my leagues. Never.
I traded for Trout in the offseason this year because someone's been keeping him. His dollar amount's insane. He finally got dropped because he was 50% of someone's budget. My buddy drafted him. I traded King's ransom for Trout because in my league, categories, his walks and his average and his home runs is.
There's a difference between dynasty leagues than the other leagues, but yeah, I can see that when you factor in he costs you $60 out of a $260 budget to hold on to. Yeah, I can see getting rid of him. But in the most common form of leagues, which are redrafts, it's people would constantly try to trade for him, and he would just never move.
The price is either way, way too high, or the guy's just lying, saying he wants to move him.
No, the price is high. In real life, if you had the best quarterback in football, you're not going to move him just to get the same return back. You want more than his value.
Well, it would be like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is probably going to get traded for 4 first-round picks. That's kind of the same.
Yeah, when you're talking about one of the greatest players in a game, the trade has to be a little bit exaggerated. That's all. And I don't think you're going to get an exaggerated trade while he's screwing out the subluxation. So it's like you're kind of stuck. But as a guy that has Tatis in 3 leagues, I'm happy enough. And I think that in the time that I have him, he'll be well worth it. And I also resolve myself a lot of times. In fantasy leagues, you're going to have injuries, right? And you draft your first round guy to be the guy you build your team around, and you sort of accept on that day that if that guy gets injured, my season is not going to be very good. It's like there's a difference between your first round pick getting injured and your 6th round pick getting injured.
Yeah.
It's like this is it. This is a cornerstone. You don't replace cornerstones.
I guess my sell high would be I've been kind of between 2. It was Garrett Cole because I think it's a good time to sell high before it goes off the cliff. But Shohei Ohtani.
Oh.
I love Shohei. I've owned him for a while. One of my favorite players to watch. But he's got 25 home runs.
He hit another one today.
Just hit a bomb today, 117 exit velocity, like 430, 440. But Shohei's package, if you could trade Shohei, depending on your league, if you can do pitcher and hitter, because some you could do both. But hitter Ohtani, I would move hitter Ohtani if I could get a good trade for him because of what he's doing. Because do you see him hitting 50 home runs this year?
50? Does he need 50 to be very valuable? He's very valuable without 50.
No, but he's got 25, 26 already. So let's say the rest of the way he gets 35 and he only hits 9 or 10 the rest of the way. Which can very well happen because, he hasn't displayed this kind of, he has displayed power, but not this much. This is insane.
There's something to the fact that you've got you definitely have the most of the stats from Ohtani, and going forward, you just don't know what could happen. He has had a history of injuries. I don't think he's ever played a full season. Okay, I don't think. Am I wrong about that? Maybe.
No,
not in the United States.
I think if he's hitter pitcher combo and you could do both, like his pitcher side after the early couple starts with the walks that were kind of crazy, he's pitching very, very well right now. It would be hard for me to trade him, but I think if you're selling him at the highest point, I think he'll be. I don't think he's going to be any higher because obviously 25 home runs as a DH that doesn't play every day. Now, he is outfield eligible in CBS now, which makes him even more insane. But
you have to be able to move this guy in daily moves. You can't play Ohtani in a weekly league and expect him to do anything better than any other player.
I have him in a weekly league, and he's playing as my utility, and he's very good. Matter of fact, I got those guys in FBC, the actual guys that run FBC, to act smarmy about me because they screwed up on Bobby Bradley and didn't give him first base eligibility. So I asked them to put first base on him because you put it on Chris Gittens and you put it on all these other players, just didn't give him that. And he's like, and I don't get to play Ohtani and Bradley simultaneously. And they said, oh, boo-hoo. Those people actually texted me, oh, boo-hoo, because they're smarmy jackasses over at NFC. Anyway, that's my little story.
That would be a sell. That's my biggest sell high. And I would sell any pitcher that's spin rates are reduced and they're starting to kind of not be the dominating pitcher. If I could sell high and get something good for him, I would do it.
So have you noticed any of these pitchers that have had, I guess spin rate is down across the board, but I'm wondering if you've noticed, I haven't really noticed any big time.
Bauer's control is back to what he was in Cincinnati. Garrett Cole's already had a high. Bauer's control is starting to collapse a little bit. Garrett Cole's fly ball rate, which was already high, he's giving up some more home runs because of his spin rate and the ball not doing what he normally did. Dylan Cease has kind of struggled. His spin rate's down a little bit.
Is Cease, how much is his spin rate down? Because I know that he was one of the highest.
It's down like I think the last time I checked it was like $1.50, which isn't awful because the spin rate was already up there. DeGrom, I don't know if he's taken anything. He's still dominant as heck. But those two are the ones that are starting to see.
Garrett Cole pretty much admitted by not saying anything that he was using sticky stuff. How do you?
if everybody had been using this, right?
Right, but some of the pitchers, Douglas, are using it more than others. And
Well, I'm just saying, if they got rid of it, wouldn't everybody still say in the same order, like he's still number one, still number two? They would just drop as a group.
yeah, like
And
if everybody stopped using it at the same time.
you know, it's like Garrett Cole's ERA goes up a little bit, but so does Garrett Richards. You know what I mean? Like, and so they all stay in the same order, but they're just a little bit higher, and it just plays out exactly the same.
No, but you're getting Bauer's walk rates coming up a little bit, and you're getting Garrett Cole's fly ball rate, which is leading to more home runs. Because that's always Garrett Cole's knock in Pittsburgh and early was he was giving up home runs because his fly ball rate was ridiculous. Miraculously, towards that last year in New York, his fly ball rate was high, but he wasn't giving up home runs.
Can you do you have? I don't even know where to look for this, but I can see.
I have a site for it. I can find it. It's in one of my tabs. I'll have to see if I can find it.
I'm looking for the velocity by game. So, like, I want to be able to see what Garrett Cole's velocity has been over the last couple games.
I know Bauer's velocity's up, but he's throwing harder to compensate for the spin rate.
Bauer is way smarter than the rest of us. He knows what he's doing. His movement is not changed and his velocity is not changed. That's why when we talk about Bauer, he's in a conversation all on his own. And I'm biased, and you know that I'm biased anyway. But I believe that Bauer can manipulate the baseball without using sticky stuff, and I do believe that he's been using it.
Can I lighten the mood a little bit on spin rates?
Go ahead.
Did you see Bryce Harper get checked for substance in his hair after Scherzer did the day before?
Oh, that's hilarious! It is hair. What did Bryce
remember when
Harper
Scherzer got checked? Remember Scherzer got checked 3 times and all that Girardi and that drama. The next day, Scherzer and Zimmerman told him to take off his helmet. We're joking that he had substance in his hair that was reducing the spin rate. They were just joking with Harper and the umpires.
Okay, gotcha. But I do want to know because the spin rate is directly related to movement and velocity. And I would really like to be able to see the different pitchers. The fact that their spin rate's going down. I would also like to see whether or not how much is it affecting their velocity and their movement.
That information used to be on Brooks Baseball, but Baseball America bought them out.
It's on StatCast.
So it's in Baseball America in there somewhere.
I have it here. I'm pulling it up. I got a tab for it.
I think that they have StatCast on anyway, in Fangraphs they have StatCast.
I'll give you
it would have to be narrowed down to the game because I don't think that it's going to help us to see what Garrett Cole has given up a lot of home runs. The past 3 outings have been horrible for him. He's been giving up home runs, like you said, the fly ball thing. I don't know what his velocity is. I'm interested to see that. Douglas, do you have a sell high?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a sell high that has nothing to do with spin rate.
Good.
I actually looking at selling high, and that is Marcus Semien of the Toronto Blue Jays. I have this. I mean, one thing that's out there is there's some guys in the waiver wire that are pretty decent for fill-ins, but the big thing is that with George Springer coming back, like, all right, Semien's had a great year, and I actually drafted him because I like him a lot, but I think his average and his getting on base is higher than normal, and I think that there's a pretty good chance that George Springer takes over the leadoff spot once he's healthy, and that means that either Semien or Bichette is going to fall out of that spot, and so he just won't be as productive. So, like, I could see him going from like a 280 hitter to what I thought before the season started, like a 267 hitter. I still think 30 home runs is possible. I still think he's going to steal 12 to 15 bases. But if you drop him from leading off in that role to batting 6th on that team, that's a big part of what's making him so good. And I think he's somebody that, the best is behind him this year. He's still going to be fine, but the best is behind him for that reason.
Okay, good one.
So I was trying to sell him today to somebody, and
okay,
that's my guy, my one sell high because I don't do a lot of trading. I don't.
Malpal, do you have a sell now? Trade now? Try to get rid of Claire?
Oh, I have a few. I was just gonna say, and this is kind of goes against what everyone's saying. I don't know shit about spin rates, and I don't really care because my philosophy in this is regression in fantasy baseball is the equalizer of everything. These guys are pretty predictable where they're going to end up year by year. You're always going to have outliers. talking to my buddy today about Will Myers. I don't even know what his stats are, right?
Okay,
I
I had to
haven't really
bench
paid
him today.
attention to. Right,
I
but
benched
I
him today
go,
now,
Will
pal.
Myers probably hit. Right, Will Myers is probably hitting 248 with a 6 or 7 or 8 homers, and he's probably got 6 or 7 stolen bases, and he'll end up with 20 homers and 15 stolen bases. And he read off his stats, and that's exactly what it was. So I think all the spin rate stuff doesn't interest me. I don't want to say it doesn't interest me. I think it is probably a deal, but I think things equal out. Guys end up where their talent lies, and that leads to my guy is the guy that jumps out at me is Kyle Gibson. This guy has I don't know about his spin rates. It just seems to me if I'm playing the odds that this guy has some major regression that has to occur. He's not a 2.0 ERA pitcher. He's got a lifetime ERA like almost 4.5, 4.3 or something. So I think he's a candidate to really, I'd get rid of him if you can get something for him. Problem is, probably most of the league doesn't believe it either. So
I think
I would throw it out. Well, he's one of the top 5 pitchers in the American League right now.
No, I mean,
so,
I have this thought about Gibson because it's kind of weird. Like a player one day becomes good. That happens, right? And he's having a phenomenal year. And don't get me wrong, everyone knows Kyle Gibson's Kyle Gibson. It's hard to trade for that guy. But why are people talking about Kevin Gausman as being a potential Cy Young winner, and no one's talking about Kyle Gibson as being a potential AL Cy Young winner? And literally, Gausman is only about 60 days ahead on the line of being good. He's last year, right? It's one of those things like we just play favorites between people and not play favorites. What's going on with Gibson is almost impossible to understand. What he has is he added a cutter, but his cutter does 2 things for him. His cutter generally gets hit hard, or he strikes people out with it. You know, so he has an out pitch, which he never really had. But gets hit hard. Most of his home runs come on the cutter. But that pitch is making the other pitches a little bit better. So there's actually something in what he's doing that is a little different. Now, I don't think he is a 2 ERA guy, but I think that he has made an improvement that we can't really think about Gibson as a 4 ERA guy, and we can't consistently think of him as a 4 ERA guy and not think of Gausman as a 4 ERA guy. I think that there's a weird path where
I don't dispute that, and we don't know. There's just speculation. All I do, I'm a statistician type guy. Is it's likely he regresses just based on his history, and that's all we can really go by. That's what I go by, anyways. So that's my guy.
Kyle Freeland is hurt. Kyle Freeland got hurt.
Yep, leg injury, running the bases.
Ooh.
All right. Okay,
I
so
do have a guy that I would go after. I can start that off if you want.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, that was a good one too.
I would go after Anthony Rendon.
Yeah, I had him on my list.
Yep.
And I'd go after him pretty hard.
Why?
Well, he's hitting 3rd in that lineup. He's had a bad knee, but he appears healthy now. And I just think he's sitting there. He's a really good player. I mean, he's just a really good player. And I don't see him hitting 233 at the end of the year.
You had asked me, Andrea, about what players I saw that were doing well in the second half. And you have to pull 2020 out and say, screw that one. But in 2018 and 2019, Anthony Rendon's second half of the season, he 22 plate appearances, he had 14 home runs, batted .336, and had a .585 slugging, which is among the better second half guys. I don't know how much you can put in that because it's 2 years back, but it is something to think about. He has been a guy that, if you think about what he's done as a fantasy guy, is that in most years you're like, that guy gets drafted reasonably high, 5th round or whatever. Most of the beginning of the year you're like, he's pretty decent, and at the end of the year you go, wow, he did that well? That's who Rendon is, you know?
Yeah. And
he's a fantastic player, so I think he's a guy, a prime target of mine.
Yes, good one. Okay, that's absolutely right. So I think that you're right about it. I just was looking up his numbers and I was saying, what's wrong with Rendon? He's not hitting lefties at all.
Look at the lineup. Look up the lineup he's going to be in now when Trout comes back.
And they have Rengifo.
Is
They
that
got
good?
Stabler.
I mean, is it good or bad?
Fletcher, Otani. Trout will probably go to the 3 hole because that's where they started hitting him. It'll be Rendon 4th and Walsh 5th.
He's got his batting average on balls in play, which is really the only way that you can quickly look at luck in baseball, and it's the lowest it's ever been in his entire career. It's never been less than 300, and it's 250 right now, so it's quite a bit lower. And I think the lineup will improve, but he's just a good player in general, and he's not having a good season, so he might be somebody to target for sure. Absolutely good one. What about you, Joe? Do you have target one? Somebody to target?
Target low that I would do. I'm trying to think, I had 3 on my plates.
Let me tell you, I would do Chris Bryant because he's. Here's what I did. I just went to Fangraphs and I sorted by batting average on balls in play over the last month, and I looked at that. I looked at it for the last 2 weeks, and some of them are just extremely ridiculously low. Arenado is one that I would probably target right now too because of that, and Chris Bryant. Those are my 2 targets.
I'm going to my list right now.
I mean, Arenado is one of these players like Rendon where you know that they're a good baseball player in general, and you know that, if they're healthy, they're going to produce. And we have such recency bias in fantasy baseball that it seems like a perfect time to like swoop in on somebody that might just be having a bad month or something. But, everybody knows Rendon. Everybody knows Arenado. Everybody knows Chris Bryant. They're not going to be like that stumped by it. It's not like, you're pulling the wool completely over their heads, but you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I would Manny Machado because his average is still low. I still think I don't think he's hitting terribly, but I don't think he's the 270, 280 hitter you kind of want at the moment. And if you can pry him away from somebody who doesn't want to wait another month, Chris Sale.
Chris Sale could be freaking available in leagues probably right now. He's probably available in leagues.
I drafted him in the 3rd round in our league, but I had an injury spot to stash, knowing the second half hopefully he would done. But Chris Sale right now is a good buy low because you got about. He's going to do another rehab assignment next week or another live bullpen, and then he's going to rehab assignment starting in first week of June, mid-June. That's when it's over. So you have about 2 weeks to figure it out with him. I mean, obviously it's Tommy John, but Chris Sale, I would bet on what he's done.
I just don't see Boston. I just don't see it. I don't know what they're doing right now, but they're winning. And Verdugo is in my DFS lineup, and he's not playing today. So what the hell is up with that?
I'm a Red Sox fan, and I have no idea how they're doing this. Their hitting's been good. Their pitching's been serviceable. I don't know how, but I'm surprised, but I'll take it.
Right. Malpal, Douglas?
Because Devers has been really good.
It's been.
Devers and Bogarts have been phenomenal.
Yeah, that Bogarts, Devers, Martinez thing is downright devastating. There are a couple of teams like that. You want my? I was looking at splits a lot, so I'm going to give 4 names. One of them is Rendon, of guys that are second half players that we might not be thinking about. 2 pitchers, Sonny Gray and Patrick Corbin have been very good closers of the year. In those 2 years, Sonny Gray, 2.12 ERA, 6-3. Patrick Corbin was 7-2 with a 3.15 ERA. The other hitter that you might think about who's been really bad this year is Jorge Soler. But in 2018 and 2019, he hit 25 home runs in the back half of the season, right? In the short half of the season, hitting 299 average with a 665 league. Then I have one guy that's just gut feeling. I think this guy is better than what everyone is seeing right now, and that's Anthony Santander. That's a gut feeling call. What I saw of him last year,
nobody believes with gut feelings. You got to say why.
But no, it's just last year he looked like he was a stellar baseball player last year. He doesn't look like the same player this year. I think that once you show that you can perform as like a top 20 player, which Santander did for most of last year till he was injured, he can get back to that. That's all it is. And he's been just Like he came up late and he's been dropped in a lot of leagues. You didn't have to trade for him, but he's a guy that if I had space, I would stash him in more spots. You know, that's all.
My
But
only
it is a good
concern
player
about him
based
is
on how he looks.
he's got his ankle is not good. I saw that game the other day where he swung and missed. This is just the other day, and he's been back for a while, and he almost keeled over swinging.
It's really been that bad.
Yeah, I saw it the other day. He just keeled
Is that
over
the
right
same injury
right
that he came back from, or is it a new injury?
Yeah, no, it's the same injury that he came from Miami when he got hurt in Miami.
That would change my
right ankle. So because he's a good player. I mean,
he looked like one of the best hitters in baseball
get
last
him
year.
for nothing, but
Yeah, he's been cut in two leagues that I'm in.
Oh, I forgot about my sell high. One
Yeah.
I was going to do. Never mind. We're on silos.
Look.
Wander Franco.
So high.
This is the highest he'll ever be.
Whatever.
Maybe not ever, but you're going to get a guy that's hitting currently. All the hype on him right now, and I know it's early, but he's batting 135, and people will pay a king's ransom to get Franco.
Yeah, you should have. The minute that he got called up, you should have been trading him away.
Yeah, for 99% of the players get called up, the day they get called up is the highest value they'll ever have. At least
I love my prospects, and I'd love to have Franco, but if someone offered me something I couldn't refuse, he'd go bye-bye.
Even in a dynasty league, Joe?
In a dynasty, the only players I really don't shy away from or I really won't trade are the hard to get. Like, I won't trade premium catchers if they're proven to do things in call-ups. Like, if I had Aldi Rushman, there's not a trade in the world I would do anything to. It would have to even be higher than Franco because a premium catcher that's hitting for average and power just doesn't exist for prospects.
Doesn't exist in major leagues either.
Yeah,
because it doesn't exist, and that's what I think. Like, my feeling in dynasty is exactly opposite. If you give me anything for a catcher on my team, I'll pretty much take it. Now, admittedly, somebody as hyped as Rutschman, I'm gonna want a little bit for him, but it's like the rest of the stuff is like, yeah, catchers never pan out. They all stink. No prospect has ever. I mean, like there have been prospects as loved as there's been prospects as loved as Rutschman. Speaking of on the Orioles, Matt Wieters, and none of them turn out. There hasn't been a good one since. There's been there have been like three in my life, right? Or I guess there was Posey, there was Mauer, and Sal
JT Realmuto.
It took him a while to come around, but yeah,
that's the only three I could.
It is so rare. It is so rare. It's like but when you're trading minor leaguers in dynasty, you're trading reputation, and he's got a reputation, know. But do you remember just a couple of years ago, there was this catcher that was on the Boston Red Sox who was completely untouchable. Like everyone going to him, going, "I want this guy," and he's like, "No, I'm not trading him for anything." That guy's name was Blake Swihart.
Yeah,
that's what catchers do in the minors.
Yeah,
nothing.
Trust me, I have my option between Jason Dominguez, probably got his name wrong, Kalenic, and Aldi, and I'm trying to trade him Peralta, and he'll give me any prospect. But the moment I brought in Aldi, that discussion got shut down. He's willing to give me, Kalenic and maybe Jason, but he's not going to get rid of Aldi, and that's what I'm getting across the board.
Well, take Jason and Kalenic and be happy about it.
Yeah, I'm going to probably pull that trigger on a trade option tonight.
Looks like Mitch Harston just showed up in the chat room.
Hi,
nice to see you, Mitch.
Is he in the? Are you going to come on, dude, or what? Come on.
He's the guy that usually says about 9:30 we should be cutting this off, and
I agree.
We're at 9:30 now.
I'm going to get rolling here. I'm going to get rolling here, guys.
Hey, guys, it was super nice talking baseball again.
Blake could never find a date for the Swihart ball.
Good to see y'all.
Bye, Mal Pal.
Mitch says he's naked.
Okay.
I'm glad we did. On that note, we're out.